I'm not going to do like a big long thing about this, but I saw, and I don't even remember who it was now, but they were watching one of those I think it was Internet Comment Etiquette. Has an episode from a while back that's like the internet comment etiquette for nice guys, and he just goes through all these videos where they're talking about like how to score with babes, and then explaining that you're just not a Chad, or you're not a smegma male, or whatever. And the message that needs to get heard. So if you are sitting at home alone right now and you're wondering, why is it that I, a nice guy, never gets the ladies? I can actually answer that for you. It's because you're not a nice guy. Now that might sound harsh or mean or abrasive, and it is, because nobody owes you their vagine. That's a thing that you need to understand. If you want to be a Lothario and get all the ladies, maybe you need to consider that you're kind of awful. Here's the thing. I'm not against. I'm a slut. I'm a ethically non-monogamous piece of shit. I have at any time somewhere between 0 and infinity partners. Usually a lot closer to 0 than infinity, but whatever. Here's the thing. I view all of my partners as very special, wonderful people that I want to spend time with. And I don't get to spend anywhere near enough time with them, but I value and cherish them all. Because while they might be just women, or femoids, as you people like to call them, the truth is that they're actual human beings with like real life thoughts and ideas and dreams and goals and all the things. And when you get to know them, sometimes they're really good and sometimes they're really awful. Much like those who are male. And of course, when I say these terms, I include trans men as men and trans women as women, because trans men are men and trans women are women. And anyone in between, just be whatever the heck you want to be. The people that get upset about that probably need to like figure their own lives out first. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. It's important to respect and like the people that you want to spend quality time with, especially naked quality time. Naked quality time is awesome. But doing it out of a sense of needing to validate your humanity, or out of a sense of needing to, you know, do a conquesting, you're kind of a piece of shit then. So if you are legitimately a lonely person who does not have a whole lot of toxic feelings about women, and likes women, cares about women, all of that stuff, and just finds that you're alone, there's things that you can do. The first and foremost is take an honest look at yourself and look at who you are and what you present to the world, and is that something that you think is attractive? And I don't mean physically attractive, because the fact is, you don't have to be a handsome Chad with a chiseled jaw to get the ladies. Most of the time, women find themselves attracted to good people. I am, of course, massively paraphrasing, but being a good person has always served me well. When I, in my earlier days, before I kind of, found my stride and figured my shit out, I had regularly the attentions of women, and there were times when I was really unhealthy fat, and that didn't bother them. I call myself Big Ugly Jim, which is a joke, but it's also from a time when it wasn't a joke. I was a whole lot bigger than I am now, and not in any of the good ways. I had a chin that went like it was not a good look, and it was not a healthy look. And yet there were still women who fancied me, and they fancied me because I was a decent human being with clever mind and interesting thoughts and conversations and stuff. And that's something that anyone can work on to improve. that's way better than just being pissed off about the fact that chicks don't like nice guys, they only like assholes. They don't. And I speak from a place of actually, remember when I was like, I'm probably not going to go on a big tirade about this? Yeah, I totally went on a big tirade about this. I do speak from a place of knowledge, however, and that is, once upon a time, I was that guy. Once upon a time, I was the piece of poop that felt like I was a nice guy, and that, you know, women didn't like me, and that was therefore a whole thing. I got over that. This is back in high school. I got over that by having an experience where I had a really good friend who was a female, and out of nowhere one day, she very clearly made it obvious that she had less than Christian motives for our relationship, and I was like, no. And it didn't make sense to me, because, like, she was beautiful. She's a very, very beautiful woman. And fun and kind and, like, all the things that I like. If you made a checklist of the stuff that I liked at that moment in time, she was it. But for whatever reason, something about the idea of being in a relationship with her just didn't do it for me. And I was like, oh, it's not just like individual characteristics that matter. It's not just that, like, well, I'm nice, therefore women should like me. There's probably like a lot of stuff that people find themselves attracted to. And that was important. One thing that really bugged me when I was in a group therapy chat, I mentioned how I haven't dated much, got together with Shan when I was 18, and then got in a serious relationship not long after. The amount of peers and therapists that told me I need to go sow my seeds, I can't put into words how that bothered me and at what level. Reeked of toxicity to me, the way that it was presented. You know, I get that. I don't know that, like, I think the problem with it is, the message is, get yourself out there, see what, you know, get back in the world, feel life. And that's a good message. Go and sow your seeds definitely sounds like, you know what, go out there and fuck a lot of randoms. Give them all the sexing, and then just, you know, you don't have to care about them after that. It'll work out. And that's not all right. So I get what you're saying there. My advice, so in my own circumstance, and I guess we're gonna do some dating advice from Big Ugly Jim. Yeah, that's exactly the way they wanted. Go fuck a bunch of randoms, which sounds fun. Don't get me wrong. You know, line them up and all. Just no, gross and yucky. And maybe I've got some of that thing where you're only attracted to people's brains or something. I think I have a certain amount of that, because a not good brain can definitely make me suddenly really not interested. But so here's the story of after my marriage fell apart. I was really big on Sagan at the time, like really reading a lot of Carl Sagan. And there's this whole thing, and I think it's Drake's equation or something along those lines. It's an equation to talk about the likelihood of life on other planets. And it's not a very good equation. It's a handy sort of way to prop up the idea that there's life out there, which I do believe. But essentially you say, well, we know that there are several billion planets, 400 billion or something like that. And if only, let's say, 10% of those had, stars, 400 billion stars. And if only like 10% of those had, the planets that were within the habitable zone, and if 10% of those had, a reason to have water on them, and 10% of those had developed life at the very most basic of levels, and 10% of those had that life evolve a little bit, and 10% of you're narrowing it down and down and down until you get to the point where you have like actual intelligent life that could theoretically go and communicate with people outside of their planet. You still wind up with like hundreds of millions of planets of stars that could support this. I subscribe more to the concept of the rare earth, which again doesn't mean that it's impossible. It's just a lot a lot differenter. Anyways, so that sounds like I'm going nowhere with this. Where I'm going, I used the same idea. I was like, well, let's see. My city, it's about 1 million people. Half of those people are going to be, men. So while I don't rule out the potential of ever finding love with someone who was male or male presenting, it's never been a thing that I've immediately thought, ooh, that fella's very handsome. I'd like to have a date with them. So I consider myself straight with like an asterisk that, if I ever decide that there's a guy that I wanna be with, well, fuck it, I'm gonna be with him, and I don't have to justify shit to nobody. Assume that 50% of the population of the city are men, so that probably means I'm not that terribly interested. And then you say, okay, so that's 500,000, and you're like, okay, well, then you've got the percentage of people that are already in relationships, so let's say like 20% of that. And then you've got people who are like outside of an age window, and then there's there's the people that are not interested in me just because of who I am, and then there's the people that are I'm not interested because of who they are, and then there's people who are gay and don't necessarily have the interest in dating a fella, and on and on and on and on. And I did the same thing, and I looked at the final number that I came up with, and it was 26, and I was like, oh no. There are only 26 people in this city who could ever love me. I will die alone. And it was pathetic. And it put me in this panic mode. And I was already like, I got married out of high school. So I didn't have dating experience. I didn't know what I was doing. And this panic made everything worse. And there was this friend of mine who expressed a little bit of interest. And I actually got a call from a mutual friend of ours who was like, this is so cool. You and her, so cool. But go easy, buddy. She has been single for a really long time. She's very independent. She's very strong. The last thing she wants is for someone to smother her. And I was like, okay, I will not do that. And then proceeded to do exactly that. Because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And it went poorly. And the way that relationship, not even a relationship, but that thing ended, I called her, and my intention was to explain that I don't think I'm ready for this, and I didn't get through. I got a voicemail, so I left a message, and I was like, listen, you're awesome and fantastic, but I don't think I'm nailing this. I think I'm being a bit of a loser, and I don't think I'm in a place where I'm ready, and I really don't want to not have your friendship. So let's put a pin in this for the time being, because I just feel like I'm not doing good. And meanwhile, she was writing me an email that was like, hey dude, you're awesome, but I don't think you're ready. it was like synchronicity, and I was, and the good news is we're still friends, we're still awesome, but yeah, it was just definitely, it was not awesome. And I had a series of relationships where, again, I had this wrong-headed perspective on what I wanted and what I needed. And it was really only after Karina and I split up many years later that I was like, wait, I'm going to be all right. And I think when people tell you to get out there and sow your oats, that's shitty advice. The more important thing is figure your shit out. Figure out who you are. And I'm not talking about figure your shit out do you like blondes or brunettes? Do you like, whatever. Figure your shit out get your life in a place where you're okay. And you're okay with yourself, and you're okay with the stuff you do, and you're working on being the best goddamn you can be. And then when someone comes along, look at it in that perspective of hey, cool, that's a someone. I like you. We can hang out. I've got this life, and I'd like to show you bits and pieces of it. And also, we can take our pants off. This is all just super good shit. And, yeah, and that, sir, is what I chose to do. Go figure. Well done, Bender. Because that is, I had to struggle to figure out, because like I said, I got married out of high school, and I had to struggle to figure out how to be alone. I went from from my parents' house to my wife's house, and I never had that need to be alone, and that's an awful feeling when you don't know what you're fucking doing. And it's even worse because, like, who the fuck can't be alone? I'm Gen X, man. My life was alone, but I went through it and I got through it. And the nice thing is, anyone can. I'm no goddamn special superhero. I just figured some shit out and learned that making myself comfortable with me was way more important. And by virtue of that, I think that the people that come around my universe now and wanna have the more than friends kind of vibe, I think they appreciate that and they enjoy it, and it's an attractive quality in and of itself. I'm looking for someone who wants to eat pizza, watch movies, and cuddle every second Friday. Other than that, I'm okay. Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the challenges in my universe is, like, I'm real good at being with a partner, but I'm not really good at, like, stitching my life into theirs. And that's kind of one of the reasons I think that I sort of default to the state that I'm in, where I'm not, I don't want to get married. I don't want to, like, see someone 8 times a week and, write them love poetry all the time and stuff. I want to enjoy. And I always describe it like those moments together are like an oasis. An oasis in our regular lives. It's this, like, you're in the desert of the bullshit life. And then there's this brief window when you're at the watering hole and there's palm trees and shade and the animals aren't trying to murder your face. And you're like, oh, this is lovely. And then you can go back out into the desert and get through because the oasis is there. You just gotta, muscle on through. That to me is way cooler than, like, living with someone and, getting married and worrying about linen patterns and shit. Don't get me wrong, linen is vitally important, but it's just not my thing. Yeah, don't mind me just figuring my shit out. Yes, that is the best thing that anyone can do for themselves, is just get their head on straight, figure some shit out, and be like, oh, you know what? I'm good. I had to force myself. I called it masturdating. I had to force myself to, like, take myself to movies, take myself to restaurants, because I was so used to the idea that this was something you had to do on a date or with a group of friends or whatever. And, like, so if I didn't have plans with people or a show to go to, which I did a whole lot of, then I would just sit at home and be like, boop, ba-doo. And the more that I was able to do things like take myself out for a dinner, the better off I was, and more comfortable I was in my own skin being able to do this stuff. First off, I want to say thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Thank you to my patrons that support me on Patreon. I am a little streamer, and these people are all really awesome for supporting me. Thank you to I Am Canadian. Special huge thanks go to my one prophet, Shithead Dave Anderson. And of course, my final tier of supporters is the Gods. This tier is the most expensive and likely to never have any members, but Patreon really told me I should have one, so it's true, I guess. There are no gods. I try to put up stuff at least once a week, and I live stream every Saturday at noon Mountain Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, like an old man. Again, thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass day.